research. Some of the first lingo you'll likely hear thrown around are the terms qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods research. But what exactly are these? Well, simply put, qualitative, quantitative, and mixed methods reflect the three types of research that you can undertake. These aren't specific data collection or analysis techniques, but instead they reflect the broader research strategies that will influence which data collection and analysis techniques you can adopt. For example, if you undertake quantitative research, you'll oftentimes use surveys as your data collection method and statistical analysis as your data analysis technique. In other words, qual, quant, and mixed methods are overarching strategies, not specific techniques or methods. Anyhow, I'm getting ahead of myself. Let's take a step back and unpack each of the three types of research piece by piece. First up, let's look at qualitative and quantitative research. At the most basic level, qualitative research utilizes data that's not numbers-based. In other words, qualitative research focuses on words, concepts, perceptions, or ideas. In contrast with this, quantitative research makes use of numbers and statistics. That's a very simplistic explanation though, as it's just considering the type of data each one uses. So let's dig a little deeper. Qualitative research is used to investigate the softer side of things. For example, to explore and understand people's perceptions, ideas, or feelings. Therefore, it is more subjective in nature. Qualitative research is often used to gain a deeper understanding of the complexity of a situation, to draw a rich picture of what's going on, especially what's going on under the hood. Therefore, qualitative data can be used to develop hypotheses and theories from the ground up. In other words, an inductive approach. For example, you could use a qualitative approach to explore what factors or product attributes customers consider when deciding which laundry detergent to purchase. This could involve undertaking interviews and focus group sessions to get people talking about their ideas, perceptions, and feelings regarding laundry detergent. Contrasted to this, quantitative research focuses on the hard numbers. Typically, quantitative research is used to measure differences between groups and/or relationships between variables, as well as to test hypotheses. Therefore, it is more objective in nature and takes a deductive approach. For example, you could use a quantitative approach to measure what percentage of people prioritize price or any other variable when choosing a laundry detergent. You could also assess how this percentage varies between neighborhoods, cities, or different demographic groups. So, as you can see, qualitative and quantitative approaches can both be used to research different aspects of the same topic or area of interest. Right, moving on to mixed methods. Mixed methods-based research, as you'd expect, attempts to bring these two types of research together, drawing on both qualitative and quantitative data. Quite often, mixed methods-based studies will use qualitative research to explore a situation and develop a set of hypotheses. Then, once those hypotheses are established, they'll use quantitative methods to test them. It can also work the other way around. For example, they could use a quantitative approach to get a view of the bigger picture, the what, and then use qualitative methods to explore the underlying reasons, the why, for a specific trend or observation in the quantitative data. So as you can see, while qualitative and quantitative research are distinctly different, they're not at odds with each other. It's not a competition of qualitative versus quantitative, where one is better than the other. On the contrary, they can be used together, in other words, mixed methods, to develop a high-quality piece of research. Of course, this is easier said than done, so we usually recommend that first-time researchers stick to a mono-method approach, either qual or quant. unless the nature of their study genuinely warrants a mixed methods approach. The key takeaway here is that it's important to understand that each research type has a different purpose. For example, to explore and understand situations, qualitative, to test and measure, quantitative, or to do both, mixed methods. They're not simply interchangeable tools for the same job. Each approach has its purpose. Right, with that out of the way, let's look at how you can go about choosing the right methodological approach for your research. If you're undertaking a dissertation, thesis, or research project, chances are you'll need to craft a comprehensive research design and methodology. This is not a task to be taken lightly, as you'll need to clearly and strongly justify every design choice you make. To choose the right approach, you'll need to consider 3 important factors. Based on these factors, you can select your overarching approach: qualitative, quantitative, or mixed methods. Once you've made that decision, you can flesh out the finer details of your research methodology, such as the sampling strategy, data collection methods, and analysis techniques. We won't cover the latter in this video, but you can find loads of information over on the Grad Coach blog. I'll include the link below. The 3 factors you need to carefully consider are: 1, the nature of your research aims and research questions; 2, the methodological approaches taken in the existing literature; and 3, practicalities and constraints. Let's take a look at each of these. Factor number 1, the nature of your research. As I mentioned earlier, each type of research, whether qualitative, quantitative, or mixed, has a different purpose and helps address a different type of question. So it's logical that the key deciding factor in terms of which approach you adopt is the nature of your research aims and research questions. But what types of research aims exist? Broadly speaking, research aims can fall into one of 3 categories. Exploratory, in other words, getting a better understanding of an issue and potentially developing a theory or set of hypotheses regarding it. Confirmatory, in other words, confirming a potential theory or hypothesis by testing it empirically, a mix of both. For example, developing a set of hypotheses and then testing them. So what does this mean for you? Well, as a rule of thumb, exploratory research tends to adopt a qualitative approach, whereas confirmatory research tends to use a quantitative approach. This isn't set in stone, but it is a reliable heuristic. Naturally then, research that combines a mix of both or is seeking to develop a theory from the ground up and then test that theory would utilize a mixed methods approach. Let's take a look at an example in action. If your research aims